Aloha, and welcome to the Hawaii Retirement Show, where your hosts Jason and Paul are excited to bring you a podcast dedicated to retirement planning and financial education for all those who call Hawaii home. Both Jason and Paul are practicing financial advisors here on Oahu, and both are excited to share their knowledge, opinions, and unique perspectives as it relates to retirement planning with everyone listening to this show. And now, here's your hosts, Jason Cutitta and Paul McWilliams.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We got a Q&A episode of the Hawaii Retirement Show. Got a couple questions here that came in, and we're going to hopefully provide a little answer and insight to. Starting off, question one. This person wrote in, didn't tell us where they're writing from, but the question reads, I'm approaching retirement in the next 4 or 5 years and am considering selling my home that I still have a mortgage on and just renting in retirement. I want to visit family in the mainland and might live there for a few years before moving back. Is renting in retirement a bad idea, and what things do I need to consider? Thanks for your podcast. I'm looking forward to your future episodes. So, question here. Somebody's consider renting. I guess it's selling and moving to the mainland for a few years to visit some family, I'm thinking. Yeah, visit family. Paul, you got any initial take on that question?
Yeah, this is a great question. And, just to give context, going off of what we have here, I'm just going to try to figure out, some things. I might actually have follow-up questions in this. But what I would say is what I love is that this person wants to visit family in the mainland in retirement. So there's a plan here, it sounds like, and they do want to enjoy their time. And, owning a home is sometimes an anchor, right? Like you have to take care of it, you have to manage it and things like that. So here, honestly, renting isn't a bad thing in retirement in general, as long as it's planned for, right? As long as you're planning for those expenses, you can make it work.
Right.
Owning a home isn't required. Having your mortgage paid off isn't required. It's only helpful because it's a big expense, Yeah,
and the thing that jumped out at me initially is with renting, there's a little more unsureties as far as the budgeting, right? HOA fees can change. What if the landlord or, the building, something happens, you got to find a new place. It just makes it a little harder to budget for, but completely doable. And, it's not something that has to be, owner or anything like that, but just some things to consider.
Yeah. And, and with that, risk of costs going up and things like that, there is also the benefit of flexibility and mobility.
That's
right?
true. Right.
So this individual wants to be away from Hawaii for a period of time, and that could be a great situation to have. So the only thoughts that I would have, or maybe the questions of considering is, how much mortgage is left on this home? Is it something that's going to be a taxable consequence or situation if they actually sell the home? Right?
Sure, that's a big consideration too, right?
And really, maybe their personality isn't to be home owners and then landlords per se, but would becoming a landlord for a period of time be something to consider because what's the interest rates on this mortgage? What does that payment look like versus a rental payment in today's dollars, right?
I understand though, not renting isn't for everybody because some people, especially you're moving to the mainland, you got this house here. There's some unsureties. Okay, who's living there? What's going on? Something breaks. That hassle. But no, that jumped out as me as well. Maybe you can rent this out, but that's not for everybody, right?
Sure. Yeah, and the other thing to think about is, okay, let's say you do want to sell it, but if your goal is to come back to Hawaii, maybe there's an opportunity to downsize or to maybe right size for a place in retirement. Maybe this is like the family home. Maybe this is something where your kids grew up or something like that, which creates emotional complications. I understand, but maybe there is a chance that you can downsize and right size for retirement, so that if you do plan to return to Hawaii, there is something to come back to. Because by and large, if you sell real estate in Hawaii and don't buy real estate in Hawaii again, it's really hard to re-enter for most people.
Most people, right, right. Well, I think they're going to be okay, and the reason why is they're approaching retirement, and it says in the next 4 to 5 years. So they're a planner. Yeah, they're planning this thing out. So hopefully we provided some insight into things to consider.
No, totally. And that's a perfect time frame as you're getting closer to retirement to really think about these types of things. And I agree with you. The fact that these guys are thinking about this means that they're sharp. So thank you so much for your question. Really hope that we added value there. So let's just move into the second question here. And so Jason, I'm going to kick this off to you. So the question is, hello, Jason and Paul. My question is, who really needs a financial advisor? I don't think I know everything, but I feel like I know enough to be self-sufficient with my finances. I understand there is a place for a professional. I just don't know if I am one of those people that really need one. Thanks for taking my question, and good luck with the show. So, awesome question. To me, this is like question can go a lot of different places, but
Sure.
Jason, kick us off.
Well, there's so much ambiguity, or like murkiness around what a financial advisor is, who needs one. Absolutely. It's kind of this weird term. And my initial answer is you might not. You probably don't, maybe. I mean, there's plenty of people that are do-it-yourselfers that can do it themselves. We're not building rockets that we're sending up to the moon, right? I'm not going to be one of those advisors that says it's just so complicated. You absolutely need one, and we're going to dig this hole of complication. I'm the only one that can help you out of it. That's not the case. You can figure it out. I always equate it to, I used to work in the trades previously. I used to be an electrician, and, I like working with my hands. I can do a lot of stuff on my own car, like change my brakes, but I feel good when I go to Servco and there's a professional.
Yeah.
And this is what he does, and he does it for me. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like there's always a place for a professional that this is their line of business.
Yeah.
I love being self-sufficient and being able to do everything. I'll paint my own house. I'll do all these things myself. I'll try to figure out my own taxes. But there's a reason people specialize in certain things, and they get really good at it. Yeah. And then also they might see things that you didn't see, right? The second opinion kind of stuff, where you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. I
love that saying, because sometimes you think you got it all figured out, and somebody brings up something and you're like, well, I didn't even cross my mind. And you agree with that there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a mechanic is a great example of, they can look into things and see things and really make sure that there's safety involved. And so, I mean, again, I think like by and large, a financial advisor, just the definition of that, there's so many definitions.
Sure.
You can go to 10 different advisors and get 10 different pieces of advice for them.
Right.
So really, like, not everyone's going to need a financial advisor. Like you said, I believe there's a lot of really smart people, do-it-yourselfers, people that actually are genuinely interested in the outcomes that they're trying to produce. But with that being said, it doesn't hurt to get a second opinion. It doesn't hurt to go see the mechanic, because again, maybe you're not looking for a financial advisor, right? Whatever that definition is for you. Maybe you're looking for someone just to validate the direction you're going in.
Sure.
And that is just more so someone that will help you on a project base or like an hourly base, right? So there's so many different ways that you can work with an advisor that, maybe you love doing the investments. Maybe you work for the TSP or have a TSP or the 403B and they can't really help you, you want to be involved in that situation, but you're just like, hey, am I on the right track? Or am I doing this right? Or, hey, just question here, question there. And I think that's where, a good financial advisor, or in some cases, a real financial advisor can help you in those areas. So for me, I would agree with you. Like, not everybody needs an advisor, but maybe we'll talk about like, when might someone want an advisor?
So now you bring up a really good point in that, depending on what period of life you're in, financial lives are simpler or more complex, right? Yeah. A 25-year-old who's just starting off with a good job and a 401k, very simple.
Yeah.
The advice is, save as much as you can, right? And save money away. As you start to approach retirement, things get a little bit more complicated. We got, what's the plan? Long-term care insurance. What's the Social Security strategy? What is our distribution strategy to minimize taxes as we withdraw from these retirement accounts? Do we have our trust and estate documents in order? When's the last time we reviewed that? Are we checking beneficiaries? Do we have and these things all kind of, financial advisors, obviously, I'm not a estate planning attorney. I'm not a CPA, but I am well versed enough to give opinions. I can't give professional advice the way a estate planning attorney can, but I can look out for these things, and that kind of falls into at least what I understand a financial advisor does, a financial planner, right? We're looking at the big picture, make sure everything, we're minimizing risk where we can, we're making sure our investments are allocated appropriately, and kind of taking everything into consideration.
Yeah, no, exactly. And to me, like, I think this is a really interesting topic because, again, like, what a financial advisor is and what they do, there's so many people do different things, and people can call themselves financial advisors and they can be doing 100% different things. Right. So what you were explaining to me was what a real financial advisor does. They take consideration of the full picture. And I've heard it said this way, and I'm going to steal this example because I think it's amazing. Let's say you went to the doctor and you had something wrong. You're going to go in and you're going to expect them to do tests. You're going to expect them to figure out and properly diagnose your issue.
Sure.
And you're going to get the appropriate treatment plan for that issue.
Right.
What if you walked into a doctor's office and the nurse just sent you right in, and the doctor walked in and said, "Hey, you look like you have a headache. Here's some Tylenol. Have a great day." You didn't actually get the answer you were looking for. This isn't a negative, but a lot of advisors might go the second route. They're not really going to do the full diagnosis.
Right.
And they're going to really just look at the solution or the product or the investment, in my opinion, as the primary driver. Whereas, and to me, a financial advisor is someone who will look at the
more than investments,
yes.
right? So much more than investments. I like the primary care physician analogy. I've heard it used a lot by other advisors and stuff in our space. That I look at my role as an advisor as the primary care physician. And your CPA is your cardiologist, right? So you come to me for checkups, and then we refer out to these specialists, the estate planning attorneys and all that. But it's always good to, some people go a long time without seeing the doctor, and then you go see him, and you might find out your blood pressure is a little high, your cholesterol. You know what I mean? It's good to just check in with somebody. And getting back to the question, not all advisors are like this, but you can go see an advisor for a brief time, maybe a short type of engagement to where, let me just go check and see what they think. It's not like a lifelong, it doesn't have to be a lifelong commitment of like, all right, I'm with this advisor now, I'm stuck with them. So to the person asking the question, maybe just go get a second opinion and go talk to them for a little bit. At least you'll have peace of mind, right? Because if you're thinking maybe I need one, then maybe you do. And if you go there, you'll at least have some closure to know, okay, I'm on the right path. I don't need one, or oh wow, maybe I do need one. Yeah,
and the last thing I'll say is just understanding like what a financial advisor does for you, how they make you feel when working with them, I think is really important. And then also like how they get paid and how those interactions work will give you a good indication if that's a project or ongoing.
Yeah. One last thing before we wrap up here is I was thinking another area where a financial advisor is good, and I don't know this person's situation, is usually if there's a couple, usually one individual in that couple, one spouse, is kind of the primary driver of the finances, and the other one is kind of left in the dark. Not always, but that's a typical situation. Sure. An advisor can come in handy to be kind of the coordinator if one spouse drops out, right? To kind of carry the torch and help things, help the transition. Just another thing that popped in my head.
Yeah, emotional support and accountability is basically what I'm hearing. Yeah. If something happens or something changes. So, really, for me, I think this is a great question. Why you need one, who needs one, and maybe we'll dive deeper. Maybe this will lead us into further conversations in a further episode. But by and large, that's some of our thoughts. Thank you so much.
If you have any more questions, you can write us at aloha@hawaiiretirementshow.com. I think that I got to check the email. I think it's hi.retirementshow.com, but I think you can also write to Hawaii spelled out. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Anyway, or visit the website. Send us a question. We'll hope to get you some good answers.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed our Q&A questions. Have a great day.
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta, Paul McWilliams, and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial or Inspire Advisors. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration. And for Paul McWilliams, investment advisory services are offered through Inspire Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC.